And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FB Show, we are going to continue our Week 3 game recaps, breaking down every single Week 3 matchup, all through the lens of fantasy football. Up next, the Carolina Panthers versus the Los Angeles Chargers. So if you are excited for this game recap, be sure to hit that like button down below like an open receiver downfield. Also smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so you never miss a video from me. Last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. Let's dive right in. This is the game that I'm really excited to talk about. There's a lot of fantasy relevant pieces in this matchup. And let's just get started between the Panthers and the Chargers. Let's jump over to the box score. The Panthers got their first win of the Matt Rule era, defeating the Chargers by a final score of 21-16. The Chargers had a chance to win it at the end, but a backwards hook and ladder play went out of, or the ball was loose. Keenan Allen threw a backwards lateral to Austin Ekeler, who went off his hands, and unfortunately Carolina recovered as time expired. Teddy Bridgewater, 22 completions on 28 pass attempts, hyper efficient as usual, 235 yards and a touchdown. Mike Davis filling in for the injured Christian McCaffrey did Christian McCaffrey things. 13 carries for 46 yards, 8 receptions and 9 targets for 45 yards, and a score. Mike Davis was excellent in this matchup. Robby Anderson cooled off just a little bit, 5 receptions on 6 targets for 55 yards. And DJ Moore had a very meh game as well. 2 receptions, 4 targets for 65 yards. One thing, it's very important to note if you own Curtis Samuel, maybe in Dynasty or in a deeper league, he was used in the running game here. 4 carries, also saw 4 targets, caught all 4 for 45 yards. He was all right for you as well. But the Chargers, Justin Herbert, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about this offense with Herbert and with Taylor. It's going to be a monster conversation between the fantasy football community. Justin Herbert, 35 completions on 49 pass attempts, 330 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Austin Ekeler, welcome back to the spotlight. 12 carries, 59 yards, 11 targets, 11 receptions, 84 yards, and a touchdown. As somebody who owns Austin Ekeler, God bless America, right? Keenan Allen balled out as well. 13 receptions, 19 targets, 132 yards, and a touchdown. And Hunter Henry had a great day as well, hauling in 5 of 7 targets for 50 yards. Keenan Allen and Austin Ekeler combined for 30 out of Herbert's 49 pass attempts. Unbelievable stuff from those two guys. But let's talk about it, right? We'll start off with the Panthers. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this team in general. I'm a bit disappointed in Bridgewater so far throughout the beginning portion of the season. And it's simply because I just don't get it. I just don't get it. The opportunity is there. He's been in pass-heavy games in all 3. The game versus Vegas, he had 34 pass attempts. Last week versus Tampa, 42. And this week versus the Chargers, 28. When you look at the completions, 22, 33, 22. The passing yards, 260, 360, 235. He's only thrown 2 interceptions on the season, but 1 touchdown in each game. And I think that's really the thing that's limiting him, right? Because the opportunity is there. Like, he's literally just throwing the ball left, right, and center. And they just can't, for whatever reason, find their way into the end zone. It doesn't make sense to me. The Panthers are actually a team that I like to target my kickers with. And specifically what that means is, a lot of people like kickers like Justin Tucker or Harrison Butker because they play on great offenses that are going to score a ton, right? They're going to be able to move the ball and get into the end zone. I like to target kickers like Joey Sly, who played for the Panthers, where it's a team that's not good enough to score consistently, but they're a team that's good enough to get to the 30-yard line almost every single drive, because those field goals are worth more than extra points. So that's just that's just a little Mike Kyle fantasy tidbit for you if you play in a league with kickers like myself still, unfortunately. I'm just disappointed in Bridgewater. It's something that doesn't make sense to me. How do you finish with 20 points, and then a game where you throw 300 yards, and obviously there's 2 interceptions in that game as well, but you don't find the end zone, you finish with, 9? And then in week 3 versus the Chargers here in a game again where it's a plus matchup, you only finish with 14. It's just really disappointing for a guy who I thought had the possibility and the potential to finish as a top 15 quarterback in fantasy this season. Mike Davis, again, shout the fuck out to you. And if anybody who was a Christian McCaffrey owner that picked up Mike Davis, he just came in and balled out. So that was really great to see. I know there was some hesitancy in Mike Davis and what he would actually do, but if you followed what I said, and that was you value Mike Davis over any of the Giants running backs, and Mike Davis should be the number one waiver priority in week 2. He paid off for you in week 3. Robby Anderson cooled off, not worried about it. DJ Moore had a very meh game, not worried about it. Curtis Samuel is now the only thing that I'm really trying to decide here on this Carolina Panthers team. I have no idea what to do with Curtis Samuel, admittedly. 8 targets, 2 targets, 4, 5, 2, 4 in terms of receptions, but then just the yardage isn't there. And this is the team, like Bridgewater is going to spread it around, so there's no way that for him to be hyper-targeted by any means. And he does also get some work now in the run game as well, getting 4 carries. I'm probably, rest of season. I would rather have T. Higgins than Curtis Samuel rest of season. I would rather have N'Keal Harry than Curtis Samuel rest of season. Those are just 2 names that come to mind off the top of my head. It's one of those things where I think if you feel like there's a better wide receiver option out there, I'm fine with you cutting Curtis Samuel in order to go get that option. But if you do feel like that you need to hold on to a wide receiver at this current moment in time, I guess I'm cool with it because, again, this team is going to be one that's trailing from behind quite frequently, and that is going to boost Curtis Samuel's floor every single week if they are trying to come back. But moving over to the Chargers now, this is really what I want to talk about. Tyrod Taylor. You're a fine quarterback. I'm sure you're a great person, a great teammate, a great locker room guy. But for the love of God, Los Angeles and Anthony Lynn, start Justin Herbert the rest of season. Please, just do it. He looks good. Yes, there are some rookie mistakes there, but he looks like he actually belongs. He's been very, He's been very on point in making sure that everybody is getting involved. He's been making sure that he's targeting your most talented players, Keenan Allen and Austin Ekeler, right? He's looked really good through these first 2 weeks of him being the starter. I can't imagine that they go back to Tyrod Taylor once he comes back and healthy from that punctured lung. And I really hope that Herbert continues to show out this way so that he doesn't give up that job if Taylor does come back. I've been just watching this game. I really liked Herbert. And Herbert was a guy who honestly got a lot of shit this offseason. There was, Herbert was the hot take quarterback. It was, you either like him or you don't. The more I dug into him, I actually really liked him. It was just bizarre to see him not progress as well as everybody expected him to at Oregon. But again, very similar to Joe Burrow, he just comes in here and he just has weapons. Between Austin Ekeler, Josh Kelley, who actually had a pretty bad game, all things considered, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry, this team has weapons, and that's great for a young quarterback. Just be able to have those safety options to throw to. Austin Ekeler specifically here, Austin Ekeler needs to pray and hope to God, and Austin Ekeler owners as well. We all need to pray that Herbert stays at quarterback. Do you want to know why? Because Austin Ekeler, when Herbert is in at quarterback, has caught 15 targets, all 15 by the way, 15 receptions, 15 targets, for a total of, let's do quick math here, for 139 yards. Pretty good. In the one game with Tyrod versus Cincinnati, 1 target for 3 yards. Austin Ekeler is getting the rushing work as well. 16 and 12 carries. You love to see that. Also had a rushing touchdown in this game. Josh Kelley. Kelley had a down game. He fumbled, and I think that's the reason why they pulled him, and they didn't utilize him as much. Kelley only had 8 carries for 43 yards, and that really is a bummer because this was such a plus matchup for him. I know I started Ekeler and Kelley in the same league, hoping that one of them was going to go off. Ekeler played fine. And by fine, I mean in half-point PPR, he had 25.8 fantasy points. I played in standard for the league that I have him in, so I think he only had 18 or so. So it's fine. Was super happy with Ekeler this week, and better days are ahead for Josh Kelley. I really do think that this was just a blip in the career arc for him. Keenan Allen, another reason that you need to hope and pray that Justin Herbert is still at quarterback. Because when Tyrod was quarterback, 8 targets, 4 receptions for 37 yards. But in the past 2 games here with Justin Herbert, 10 targets, 19 targets, 7 receptions, 96, 13, 132, and a touchdown. Please, it just makes sense. This offense just moves, and it looks so much better with Justin Herbert commanding it. He's going to the guys that you need to be going to, and that's great for fantasy, and that's great for the Chargers as well. It is a bummer that they won this game, because I think had they won, Herbert would have cemented himself as the starter moving forward. And then last but not least, Hunter Henry, 5 receptions, 7 targets for 50 yards. He was fine. And Mike Williams, I think, really is the only thing that's Mike Williams of the Los Angeles pass catchers. He's the odd man out with Herbert. A total of 5 targets, 3 receptions for 31 yards, excuse me. It sucks, but like that's the thing, right? Herbert as a rookie is going to go to the safe options, and that's being Keenan Allen, and that is Austin Ekeler. So they are going to see the majority of the work. But I do expect as Herbert gets more comfortable in the NFL system, he's going to be more willing to target Mike Williams, who's being the monster downfield. It is also important to note that Mike Williams hurt his hamstring in this game. I thought he came back. Yeah, let's see. So this actually reads, Williams spent much of the third quarter and some of the fourth on the sideline in the medical tent before the Chargers issued a diagnosis. The severity is currently unknown, but now the often injured wideout needs to be watched to determine whether he's in danger of missing time. So yeah, I remember Williams going down with a shoulder injury. It looked like that he re-aggravated that shoulder that he was battling this offseason. But I don't know if I was fully aware of that hamstring injury, in full transparency. Overall, though, the message here is pray that Justin Herbert stays at the quarterback for the Chargers. That's it. Because if he is, Allen's valuable, Hunter Henry's valuable, and Austin Ekeler's value goes to the fucking ceiling. Like, that is why you drafted Austin Ekeler. 11 targets, 11 receptions, right? He returned to form. And I'm so excited to see the outlook for him moving forward. So thank you so much for watching this game recap between the Panthers and the Chargers. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. Trying to do this for every single Week 3 matchup. You can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. Again, thank you so much for watching. Remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever, and I will see you in the next video.